Have you ever looked back on your childhood, your young adulthood, or even your adulthood, and as you look back, you were like, something ain't right? Here's maybe why. Hey, how are you? Welcome to Haveland Life, and I am Poetry. Father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, aunt, uncle, cousins. To some, those titles may bring great memories and joy. But to others, one or more of those people may bring up bad memories, pain, and trauma that they have to deal with for the rest of their life. For many, many people in this world, they'll find that a random Joe Schmo or random Jane Doe will treat them way better than what their family ever could or ever did in their life. The environment that a child is raised in may dictate how they see life for the rest of their life. Why is it that family members choose to cause more harm to other family members more than what anyone else could do to them? What is a father? What is a mother? What are the requirements of a mother and father? What are the ingredients that make up a father and mother? Oh, my bad. All right, we got somebody sitting on some eggs right now. But we got a couple over here we'll grab. Oh, yeah. When I was 8 months old, I was adopted. I never met my biological father. I never met my biological mother. For whatever reason, those two were not able to be my father and mother. But are they my father and mother? Did they fill the ingredients and the requirements of a father and mother? I've met people who don't have a father or don't have a mother, or they don't have either one. And I've also met people who had a father and mother and wish that that was not their father and mother. A person's upbringing and family situation and childhood plays a major role in how they see the world and how they see life. A toxic environment can raise a toxic person, and they may not even know it. As a kid, everything seems to be a blur, but then as an adult, you look back and you're like, hold on a second. wait a minute. Hey there, ducks. Hey there, chickens. Later in life, I was talking to someone who I grew up with, and they said they had to come to grips that they realized that their father and mother never really loved them. Sometimes the people that you grow up with, sometimes the family that are around you, that relationship is agenda-based. It's not built off of love. It's not built on your best interests at hand. A lot of people grow up in abusive environments, whether mental, whether emotional, whether psychological, whether physical. We have family members who continuously call and text, and we haven't seen them in like 10, 15 years. So instead of correcting and addressing their issues, they went so far as to the extent to try and contact our own kids and to emotionally and psychologically abuse them. Toxic, drama-filled family members, that can be an inherited trait. The same family members that we have not seen in 10, 15 years, they still, year after year, event after event, want to invite us to toxic-filled, drama-filled events that we haven't gone to. And year after year, we're like, no. But toxic, drama-filled people like that, they need to be fed on that. That toxicness is embedded in their lifestyle. How y'all looking on water? Y'all good? There you go. All right, we get y'all filled up to the top. All right. People wonder why some people live in isolation, why they live remotely, why they live in far off places from other people. It's not always because they're trying to get away from normal, everyday people. It's because they have toxic family members. Sometimes they're trying to get away from the very people who caused them pain, who caused them hurt, who caused them trauma. And so they went on to build a better life for themselves and to start fresh. Sometimes people remove themselves from other family members who are not good for them. Sometimes people remove themselves from other family members who don't have their best interests at heart. My son had a friend over the other day, and they're both friends with another kid. So I was like, hey, whatever happened to so-and-so? Well, so-and-so, we'll call him Jake. Jake is adopted, and Jake was going back to his biological parents. But while Jake was with his adopted parents, and Jake is probably somewhere between 12 and 14 years old, the adopted parents allowed Jake to smoke and drink alcohol. And my heart sunk, because I'm like, Jake, unbeknownst to him, is going to have to deal with that for the rest of his life. A lot of people are trying to deal with what happened to them as a child, what happened to them as a young adult, and even some things that happened to them as an adult. A lot of relationships that a person may have can be affected or triggered by what happened to them by their own family members. How they react, how they are with others, those things can factor in on how they see and go about relationships in their life. We were in conversation with someone, and they were conversating about someone. They were telling us a story about how this couple had a baby, and the parents were drinking vodka, and they got so drunk that they poured vodka in the baby bottle, and they gave that bottle to the baby. And so that baby had to be rushed to the hospital because of all the alcohol that was in their system. My daughter had a friend over, and the daughter was saying how her mom had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend didn't like her. And this was probably like when she was, maybe somewhere between 2 and 5, but the boyfriend didn't like her so much. She remembers the boyfriend tying a rope around her neck. And to this day, that girl is so traumatized and affected, not just by that, but just other situations that happened to her in her childhood. I've heard countless stories of young kids being left in rooms with grown adults. It could be family members who have brought in other grown folks or other young adults, and these kids are in the same room with these young adults and adults. And I've just heard countless stories of bad situations and crazy situations that have happened to these kids because random people were just being brought into their house. Oh goodness. We was just back here about a week ago. Looks like this branch broke off from up here. And then there's the rest of it. That was like the top of it. Yeah, it's a good thing we came back here. Crazy. So it must have snapped right up here, cracked right on top of there. This is still wet. You can see I'm pressing into that. Yeah, that's still wet. I don't see any damage. And so that branch must have hit here. Thankfully it hit this metal and snapped off right there. Wow. Crazy. About a week ago, we built this horizontal privacy wall. Before this wall was here, we had some animals that were coming through the welded wire fence. Actually, one of my dogs chewed a hole through one of those fence because those animals were getting in and he was trying to get at them. So we had a table here until we could get to this project. So we finally built a horizontal privacy fence wall here, and no animals coming through, at least right now, and peace on the land continues. Growing up in a family, you're gonna have at least one person, at least one, that was with you throughout your childhood and adolescent years. Someone who was there with you through it all, the good times and the bad, and maybe someone who you saw almost every day. I grew up with someone, for the most part, I knew them like the back of my hand, and they knew me like the back of their hand. Growing up, I played basketball and ran track in the schools that I went to. I wasn't a bad kid, I was mischievous. That's the word that we'll use, mischievous. Now my parents, they'll probably use another word. I knew in 9th grade that once I graduated, I was out of there. I left home at the age of 17 and I never looked back. Because I was a mischievous child, I was always tied up with some type of disciplinary action brought on to me by my parents. I just never conformed or connected with the programming of this world. How I see things and comprehend things, it's a little different and distorted. Here's an example. Someone will say, hey, the world just rolled out a new pharmaceutical drug and it's called Ziggy Iggy Iggy. Now, no one has done any research on it and no one doesn't really know what's in it. And it has 100 side effects, but don't worry about that. We went over all of that in the black and white small print. And millions of people are waiting in a single file line, waiting to get their first dose. So poetry, what do you think? You in? Nah, I'm good. Y'all ain't even come up with a cure for the common cold yet. So I grew up with someone that I saw and was close to every single day. So when I turned 17, right after I graduated, I left home. For about 2 years after I graduated, me and this person kind of lost contact. We might have spoken one time during that time frame. After I was gone for 2 years, me and this person, we reconnected, but I could tell that they were different. They were withdrawn and they were reclusive, and they just kind of lived in solitude, if we can use that word. And they pretty much stayed to themselves, and I didn't know why. As adults, over the course of years, me and this person had lost contact, not for any particular reason. It just kind of happened that way. So one day after a couple of years, we reconnected and we had a conversation over the phone. And I had heard different things from different people about them, about them being withdrawn and, kind of staying to themselves. So in this conversation on the phone, I just asked them, I was like, why does it seem like, that you are withdrawn or you are kind of reclusive? And they do have a family and they are really protective over their family, which is a good thing. But after I asked them the question, why are you like that? They said that in their childhood and young adolescent years, that something happened to them by multiple people several times, and people allowed it to happen. And this person told other people about the situation. When this person said this, it was literally like it was like everything became numb in this moment. Like, I just felt so sad. I felt so bad for them. And it was like my whole body went limp. I mean, I'm literally on the phone and I'm like, what? And I felt so bad because, one, that this happened to them. But like I said, I was with them. I seen them every day. We hung out. I was going through my own stuff, but I seen them. I saw them every single day for the most part. And I'm just like, how did I not see this? How did I not know about this? We're not just talking about when we're kids, as young adults and in adulthood. I had no clue. I was so unaware. And I felt so bad that I couldn't do anything, that I was not aware to even be in a place to do something. And this person had been holding this, at least to me, and they told me this their entire life. Even today, my heart goes out to them. I could not imagine that happening to anyone, especially to them. But I was there, I grew up with this person, and I just don't know how I missed it. It's crazy. And what's crazy is I've heard other family members and even friends who went through that same type of situation. I'm talking like when they were like 2, 3, 4 years old. There are countless numbers of people who were raised in environments, who were raised in families, and they just didn't feel like they fit in. There are people going to family reunions, going to family functions, going to cookouts, going to activities, and they really don't want to be there. But they're only going because everybody else is going, and they say that you need to go. But they don't want to be there. So others in that family make fun of them for various reasons. How come you don't talk like this? You talk like that. How come you don't dress like this? You dress like that. How come you don't walk like this? You walk like that. Where your J's at? It's always that one thing you're supposed to have to make you feel like you fit in. And if you don't have it, then you don't fit in. Like it defines you or something. So what happens to that person as they go in their journey of life? They start to see that maybe some of the ways that I was raised, that wasn't necessarily true. There's a bigger world out there, and they're not limited to just this box. So that person starts to live life and starts to enjoy life because now they are defining themselves and not being defined by others. There are some families who will get so mad at other family members who are happy, but their happiness doesn't fit in other family members' boxes that they want to put them in. So rather than be happy for you, they want to try and pull you back into their toxicity and into their abusive relationship. What's up, what's up? So in this elevated garden bed, we didn't know what was being grown in here. Our fault. But then we thought that we were growing watermelon in here. But after we said what we thought was growing in here, which was watermelon, we soon realized that there are cantaloupe growing in here. Here's one right here. Yep, there's cantaloupe. We thought these were watermelon at first, but they're cantaloupe. And then there's another one right here. And I thought I just saw another one somewhere. Oh yeah, here's another one right here. There's a baby one. There is what is called generational conditioning. Generational condition is a silent transmission of beliefs, mechanism, and coping behaviors from ancestors and prior family members. Generational condition is something that is inherited, but it should not necessarily define you. I was talking with someone recently, and they recently had a stroke. And I was like, why? I've known this person for a very long time. Why did that happen to them? And basically, their family members were not doing anything. And so this person was trying to carry the load. They were trying to carry the burden. They were trying to do everything that the other family members weren't doing. And eventually it caught up with them and they had a stroke. And I felt so bad because to me, this is something that shouldn't have happened to that person. They're loving, they're caring, trying to do for people that should be doing for themselves. Sometimes family is like someone interviewing for a job. Some people do whatever just to fit in with the family. So when you go to a job interview, let's say there's 3 job interviews. They'll go to this job interview, acting the part, being the part, talking the part, just so they can get the job and for the most part get paid. And then go to this job, act the part, be the part, talk the part, walk the part, dress the part, just so they can fit in and get that job. And then they'll go to that job interview and same thing, talk the part, walk the part, dress the part, act the part, walk the part, just so they could fit in, get the job, and get paid. But then what happens is, as you're sitting in that job, you still feel funny because you can't be yourself. You're doing and acting what they want you to be and what they want you to do and how they want you to grow, rather than being the person that we're supposed to be. What happens is you start being at that job long enough, then you start to despise the job, not like the job, hate the job, start acting out because what's really inside is really trying to burst out so you can be who you truly are and who you want to be. When I was little, we always had family members coming and going, family members that live with us. One time my grandmother had mailed us a birthday card, and in that birthday card was some quarters. It was like 4 quarters. And we would talk to my grandma, hey baby, did you get the birthday card? And we're like, no. A week or 2 would go by, my grandmother would call, we would call her. Hey baby, I hadn't heard from you. I was just checking in, seeing if you got that birthday card. And we're like, no. A couple more weeks, maybe a month had passed. So one day, my mom goes into one of the bedrooms and she goes in there because she's trying to change the sheets. Well, as she's lifted up the mattress to change the sheets, lo and behold, there's the birthday cards in there. But of course, all the quarters were gone. And that was at a very young age for me when that happened. And you got to think, as a little kid, those 4 quarters probably would have got you some bubble gum, some Tic Tac, something, you know, some now and laters or whatnot. Those 4 quarters was like $1 million to a kid. That was one of those early family toxic events that can shape a child's life. Our second oldest daughter, she lived in this tiny house shed conversion. This was a shed that we converted into a tiny house. About a week ago, she moved. She's a full-time student at a university on a full scholarship, all expense paid. And so she has moved out. So sometime later this year, we got a busy year, or early next year, we're going to renovate this tiny house shed conversion. There was this girl that I knew in high school, and she was the sweetest, coolest, just chillest girl that you would ever meet. And matter of fact, we went to summer school together. Like we for the whole summer, we was in summer school together trying to graduate, trying to get our courses done so we could graduate on time. Years down the road, she eventually got married, and the guy that she married beat her up. She got hooked on drugs. Well, recently I found out that she died. I don't know how she died, but she died. But I just remember in high school, and I knew her in elementary school. I knew her through elementary school and through high school, just a sweet girl, chill girl, funny. And this lady died. I mean, her later years in life were just bad. Like I could not imagine what happened to her happened to her, or anyone for that matter. And she just got hooked up in a bad relationship, a bad marriage, and it just plummeted. Her life literally just plummeted. What's crazy about this plant is, one, we didn't know what it was in the beginning. Two, it started over there, very small, just a seed, and it just started growing, and obstacles got in the way, but this plant just went around those obstacles and it found a way. And whatever was in the way, it just went around it and it kept on growing. We have these tomato plants on a string trellis, but they are just really busting at the seams here. They're starting to grow out, so we're gonna put some of these clips on. We probably don't need that many, but we're gonna put these clips on to kind of put the tomato plants back up on the string. Yeah, these tomato plants really shot up. Looking green as ever. Looking good. You can see how green those are. All right, we'll get your clip right in. You standing tall. Go. That'll give us a little bit better of a walkway in here. For those of you who remembered, when we first planted these, they were looking rough. They were very small, and they were very shabby, and really lacking in nutrition, and they were really lacking in water. And matter of fact, where we got these from, they were just gonna throw them away like they were nothing. A lot of times, the struggles that we all may go through life, even some of us in the rough beginnings, those struggles are there to help us, to take us to the next level. Sometimes without a struggle, how would we grow? Even some plants, you gotta prune them so that they can grow. A lot of people, they're looking for love, joy, peace, happiness, serenity, and tranquility. All of those things can be found from within. Thank you so much for watching A Little Haven in Life.